Hello and welcome back to What's Up with PRECorp, a podcast for members of Powder River Energy and beyond. We're happy to have you here with us today, and we are joined by our plant accountant, Jamie Cruz. She's going to give us all the good scoop on what plant accounting is. Of course, I'm here, Courtney, one of your hosts, and Tim.
Yeah, hi, I'm Tim Belder from Powder River Energy Marketing and Communications, and I guess let's just start it off. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you.
A plant accountant, I guess. I didn't know PRECorp ran a greenhouse. Is that what we do? Is that what we're going on? What is a plant accountant?
I do love to plant, but that is not what we're talking about when we talk about a plant accountant.
So I guess just run us through then. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what is a plant accountant.
Okay, who I am is Jamie Cruz. Where I'm from originally, I come from a beautiful little county that's nestled in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. Yes, I said California.
Welcome to America.
I am an asset, I feel, to Wyoming. I'm not one of those Southern Californians. But as the plant accountant for PRECorp, I think when people think of electricity, they think of hard hats, high voltage equipment, and they're just as critical to keeping the lights on. But plant accountants do have a role. So my day usually starts early, several cups of coffee, screen on, spreadsheets open. I'm already deep into numbers before people typically show up in the office. I'm reconciling yesterday's activities, checking for mismatched accounts, making sure capital work orders are in line with RUS requirements. RUS stands for Rural Utility Service, and they provide funding for the development of rural utilities. The bulk of my day usually revolves around tracking the heartbeat of our utilities infrastructure. Every material pulled from inventory, labor hours clocked on a job, miles of line replaced or transformers installed. I attempt, with the assistance of other great employees, to follow that trail, to tie the cost to the right projects and ensure they're capitalized correctly. What we do here is we work for our membership. You guys own this company. We work for you. That being said, there's a lot of reports I work on that go to the board monthly. We prepare for audits. We also justify rate cases, so the level of accuracy matters. Our members are counting on us for fair rates, and every number I touch has direct connection to that trust. I think one of the most overlooked parts of this job is how cross-functional it is. I'm in constant communication with engineering, operations, and management. We talk about units of property. I deal in asset management, special equipment, fleet management, material inventory, do a lot with physical inventory and work orders. So it's not glamorous, but it's real and it's important. It's stressful. When numbers match, no one notices. But if something's off by even a few cents, it's a red flag. There's that pressure that comes from those red flags sharpens you. You learn patience, you learn accountability, and you learn that details aren't just details. They're my job.
Very good. Yeah, I think that's important, and I think a lot of people don't think about the back end of what happens when a pole goes up or a line goes out. You see it happening in real time, but there's a lot of back end work that Jamie does to keep everything accurate, and we know that she's appreciated by all of us and also by all of our membership as well. So we heard that you came from a totally different state, quite a ways away from Wyoming. So what led you to a decision to want to work at PRECorp specifically, but also what's your background in the co-op world?
So my PRECorp story, my cooperative story, is I grew up in an extremely small town. My parents were high school sweethearts. My dad and my in-laws actually graduated in the same class in high school. My husband and I, we've been married now for almost 28 years. We have 3 children, and he and I always talked about moving. From when we first got married, we talked about moving. I was an extreme daddy's girl. I didn't want to be that far away from my family. I mean, we have grandparents, our kids' great-grandparents, everyone and everything we knew was there. Intro to COVID, where our oldest graduated from high school. I think that was the prod to really start looking. Kind of funny story to tell on ourselves. We had friends introduce us to the Longmire series. So we found out that Wyoming is real, even though we tell people it's not.
Not just a movie set.
So watching it, we had friends that moved from our location to Buffalo. And I asked my husband, Jim, if he had any issues with Wyoming. And he said, well, we can hunt and fish. And I said, well, good, because I just put my application in for billing and accounts receivable to some place called Sundance, Wyoming. It's in the northeastern side of Wyoming. So, needless to say, PRECorp got that application. I was surprised they called back and didn't shred it when they saw that I came from California. But I got a phone call, interviewed, went through the process. And in July of 2021, we packed up our 3 children, our 2 dogs, everything we owned, and we left everything we knew and came sight unseen to Sundance. And I started in billing and accounts receivable. 6 months later, the position of plant accountant opened up. I applied. The plant accountant was a role that I had worked in as our plant accountant for Plymouth Sierra Rural Electric Cooperative in Portola, California. So I knew the background, did not know how PRECorp did it, but I knew I could learn it. And that's how we came to be. Cooperative holds a lot to my heart. My grandfather on my father's side moved from Kansas when my dad was 12 and became our general manager. So he served total 40 years in the cooperative, but 25 of it was spent in our hometown. When he retired, my maternal grandfather became one of the board of directors, and he served there until he passed away in 2016. So he had put in, I think, 27 years of being on the board of directors. My son graduated last year from Mitchell Tech in the lineman program. So combined all the years of service, I calculated it, 75 years of cooperative service and 3 generations of electric workers.
Well, it definitely gets in your blood, I guess, once you know what the co-op model is all about. Nothing could made me feel more lonely in my college accounting class when I said, well, if we're within $2 or $3 of it, that's close enough. Everybody kind of just looked at me, and if they could have booed me, they would have. But anyway, so it seems like we do an annual kind of a inventory and count up everything to see if it matches up with everything. And in recent years, it seems like that inventory is getting more and more accurate. Now, you haven't been here for all that time, but how does the inventory, when something leaves the yard, something stays in the yard, something's brought in, how does all that kind of play off each other?
It's accountability, I think, would be the most. You know, when it comes to our linemen and crews and warehouses filling out their materials correctly, getting those material tickets to me to perform those transactions, just being responsible to our membership, I think. But yes, the last couple years, I think this will be my 4th physical inventory here at PRECorp, and it just gets tighter every year.
Well, good. Courtney, did you have it looks like you're wanting to ask a question.
Sure. No, that's great. I was just thinking, Jamie, as you're going through some of those things, you talked about getting to work with all sorts of different departments. And what's that like? Have you had to learn some different lingo, some different stuff as you've worked with them? Or has that been kind of a journey in and of itself?
It is a journey. It's learning what different people are saying, the communication skills from everyone else. The line crew might communicate differently than executive staff, and just trying to keep those lines of communication open so everything goes smoothly, that I'm providing them the information they're requesting of me in a timely manner, and just learning to really have that cooperative spirit and to be able to work with each other for the benefit of our membership.
That's wonderful. So speaking of our membership, do you have just one final piece of advice or thought that you would like to share with our members?
PRECorp holds a great deal. They invest a lot in safety and making sure that we're safe. Each year, either the safety committee comes up with a goal for us or they encourage us to come up with our own personal goal. And study after study shows that when we show concern for people's safety and well-being, it builds credibility. PRECorp provides, like I said, some years they give us a goal and some years they encourage us. This year they encouraged us to come up with our own. This year mine is to be an ambassador of safety. This provides me with an opportunity to live my values and to be accountable to myself and others. If I were to see one of you around an unsafe situation, or if I'm driving and I'm looking at our line, poles, transformers, meters, you can fill in the blank. If I see something that draws attention, my motto this year is see something, do something. So I need to secure the scene or call PRECorp, speak up and take action. My ultimate goal is that we all have our why. Mine happens to be my family, and I want to ensure that my fellow employees, our membership, and our community all, at the end of the day, make it home to their why.
Wonderful. That's great advice. And for our members, if any of you see anything going on with a pole, lines, or anything that looks out of sorts, you can always call our office, 1-800-442-3630, and let us know what's going on.
And I have no further questions, just a couple comments. Some of these last few years we've had stuff happen where it's stuff flying out the door, where we had a wildfire and we're moving poles and all kinds of equipment, or a snowstorm, broken poles, cross arms, all this kind of stuff's going on. How long does it take, in just general terms, to recover from something like that on the paperwork side? Are we talking days, weeks, months, to kind of button all that up and say, okay, this incident is now closed?
I would say, especially based on the fires that we've had this last year, it takes months. I mean, the crew is awesome. They get their paperwork in, but just making sure that everything is in detail and everything's accounted for takes a lot of eyes, a lot of questions, a lot of communication back and forth. But I give it to our crew. We've got an amazing group of line workers out there, along with engineering operations, that ensure when things like that happen, tragedies like that happen, they're getting our lights on as fast as they can, and they're replacing our line and our poles as quickly as they can. They put themselves out there in danger every day, and I'm truly thankful for that.
Well, thank you, Jamie. It's really nice to have you here and put another spin and light on what happens behind the scenes at the co-op here, and especially for people that are maybe new to the area, new to the co-op world. This is just part of the culture here. So thank you very much.
I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, that's what's up with PRECorp today. Be sure to like and follow us, and you can find us where you find your podcasts.